partner out of Deloitte in New York, and he's a graduate from India, IIT. He went there, and now he's working. He's also setting up the India practice for that vertical. What he said is that when we employ people, when they are from, say, the Ivy League American institutions, they are more industry ready than our students from India. So even when we take from the IITs and the IIMs, in terms of salary benchmarking, they are a notch lower than the premium universities of the US. And he said it's not about the quality of teaching. Probably what you're taught is you're taught a lot more in Indian universities than maybe even in the American universities. But he said the close interaction that they have in research projects with the industry is what sets them apart, and therefore we are actually paying them more because we're training them less. We are making them. So when you say industry ready, is it a is it an oxymoron? No, it's not. You need to take those students and at least expose them. Maybe they're not industry ready.
But those students there we are talking about, the Ivy League student, they have at least an average work experience of 6 years.
Absolutely.
Here it's not the case.
He said
the question here is that
experience.
Yeah, absolutely
not
so.
Training the students.
Yes.
They're just qualifying them.
Right.
They're coming with some degree.
Right.
Exactly. That's exactly.
The skill of the
So
therefore I'm taking the conversation to another level, where you're saying that when you're talking about the academia, the academia interactions and how you can have students closer to what your requirements are, do you need to address this even before they hit the colleges? Do the students actually need to hit the colleges as soon as they graduate from school? Or do they have to have a small, can the gap year concept and things like that, will an institution like Sharda be happy to have a student who probably spent 1 year just doing low-level jobs, maybe anywhere, and then coming into and make up his mind before he comes into the academics itself? This is, we experimented with two sectors. One was media studies, where we are actually the experts, and the other one was the first dialogue that we ever had with the industry was on retail. And this was many years ago, 2007, we held the retail dialogue. That time retail was just, it was being touted as the sunrise sector, there will be a lot of jobs coming. So we said, what are the skills gaps here? And what we found was that the base level, entry level, is not a problem. The senior level, management level, the management institutes apply. But that middle operational level on which your success depends, that is where you have the maximum requirement. And they said that we would partner with anybody, we would do anything if we knew that we would get good people here. And after that, we partnered with the Delhi University, the Lady Irwin College, which has fashion technologies, which has textile designing, which has community resource management, very, very critical skills for the industry. And we teach them retail management. And the module is that we call professionals like yourselves to the institute, we help them organize the course, post-curriculum, and it's being delivered, and the UGC has given its mark of approval. Which really means these are undergraduate students. They are only being oriented to an industry. They are not being offered a job in an industry, or they are not being trained for an industry. This kind of orientation, at what level do you think this should happen?
I think this is something which is need to work really and plan to work in detail.
Yeah.
Because it's not an overnight we can calculate, for sure.
Yeah.
We have to really sit along with the industry or the academia in the area. I prefer that if my factory is in Bruges, for example, he's saying, it's very difficult to get talent over there.
Right.
So if there is industry and academia, both are available, they should be together. Okay. They find out that what they are looking for and what they are producing as an organization or as academia. And then they can work together and see that I require this much course, or I want to implant this kind of education to these students who are going to be ready for me. And maybe it is for whole class, but it could be 1 course, 2 course, along with the social skills also.
Yeah.
And then we can pick up that. It should be regional specific. Because in Delhi or NCR, in Pune or Mumbai, we get people. Though sometimes talent is not available, but we still get people. But area where like my factory is in Baddi or Himachal Pradesh, it's very tough. I have to give reward, I have to give recognition.
What we still need to focus, we continue to focus on is internship. This will remain the core. This is my opinion. And this is what we do. in Alstom we have launched an Anubhav program. We have termed it Anubhav, and this is the internship program. And what we do is every year we pre-decide projects. So projects are decided in the months of October to December. We work with line managers to decide on what are the new things, new projects coming up, and where you would like to involve few fresh ones for short duration, 2 to 6 months. Then we go to the institute where we work closely with NITs. We recruit interns. So these are not the interns which are like
Trust on you.
trust on me.
I know.
We go in a
Choose
very, so we go and recruit these interns, and then they join us to do these projects. Like this year, we are doing around 70 projects. So if on 70 projects, January we are going across the NITs to recruit. We'll recruit say about 100 interns to work on these 70 projects, maybe more. One project can be done by 2 interns. And these interns, when they work with us, so like PEC has already started, Punjab Engineering College, these interns are already there. 30 of them working with us now. They will work with us for 6 months. 6 months they come to know what we are doing. Yeah? And they come to know about a lot of technical things about our products and also it gives us an opportunity to judge these interns, and we do a very formal review, and then we keep it in our report. These interns, they form the pipeline of our next year's young graduates. This is, and even when we take young graduates in the system, so every year we do it. Around July they join. And our young graduate program is focused now 3 months. 3 months is they have a residential program. Yeah? We have a residential program here at Noida, and all the graduates who join across our manufacturing locations, they are here in Noida. What we impart to them is overview of the organization is one thing. Then they go through for these 3 months through different kind of trainings, including team building training, including leadership courses, including CSR. The base is quality and employee health and safety. Okay? So whatever is available with us, and I'm not trying to blame academia. Whatever tools are available with us, we keep applying it. Yeah? We need to do this on a continuous basis. Now, but this is for the engineers, no?
Right.
But we still don't have any solution for the manufacturing workers. The problem that is coming is in next 2 to 3 years, you will find most of your workforce, which is blue collar shop floor, they will be leaving. They are going to retire. I see in my organization, maybe about 70% of them will leave in next 4 years.
And carry all the wisdom with them.
They carry all the
There's no
wisdom
knowledge
with
and
them.
skill available.
And there is no college available where I can go and pick a graduate and put and
You can only put in knowledge or skill, but not wisdom.
It's not that. That
unless
is
you
the
actually
problem. The
create a
problem
system.
is still not lying towards young graduates, same MBAs and all. The problem for India is that there is nothing in India which is available except for ITIs, which can replace this workforce which will go in 5 years. And I've read few, I'm not a person who reads too much, but whatever I've read, 2025, you'll have 70% of your workforce in manufacturing, which is genuine. Because these will, assumption is these will retire and then others will come in. But where do they come in from? And this is the problem. And
I think
I will still not.
It's not a question of numbers alone, it's a question of competence. How do you get this
That's
competence?
why they have started this.
I will
Government
still
has
not-
started a big focus on vocational training now.
Yeah.
There's a big focus on
So
vocational
from
training.
perspective here, see, in a manufacturing sector, I always feel, see, when a company, not a fresher but a more senior role, what happens is you always train a role for the specific company, not for the role itself. Okay, for example, if you had a project manager or a line manager at whatever level, it's that person is for a Maruti Suzuki only. One is you're limiting that opportunity for that role, employment opportunity. Also, when you're replacing that role, you again invest in training a fresh person out of, for example, JSPL person coming to Maruti Suzuki. No, you're training him again. Look at the IT industry, for example. If when I take in a project manager, I train a project manager not only on the skills he's able to do in my organization, but for the skills a project manager needs. So there's a definite role to skill mapping or exactly every role, which I think in the manufacturing sector is very important, which transitions across companies, across various sectors. So then suddenly you have this large pool of
Large
manpower.
pool available to you. Otherwise, you are inhibiting and limiting yourself.
Absolutely. You're then
Absolutely.
always hoping that
Yeah, you have to
people.
create overarching competencies.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And then you don't
available.
reinvest
Yes,
multiple times in training. You can then transition manpower across industries, across different.
Yeah, you have the
whole,
complete.
whole approach of the industry towards talent has been hunter-gatherer.
Very good. There's no agricultural base.
There's no, I mean, the effort to grow them has been quite less.
Yes, absolutely.
And government of late has been focusing on the concerns of what Amrish has been highlighting. National Skill Development Corporation is one such effort in that direction. But possibly with this model has to scale it up itself and go. Pan-India presence has to be shown. The partnership with the private corporate sector has to be much more larger. And the kind of funding these people are coming up with, very generous terms of loans and other things, this has not been fully capitalized by the manufacturing sector completely. In part, the telecom companies have done it quite well. Centum and other things are there for us to discover them. So manufacturing sector has to do a lot more. I think when I say that, I mean our obligations toward the industry has to be discharged. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll keep making demands without any line of sight for how this demand is going to be
No,
fulfilled.
but what's very true, apart from what you said also, Niranjan, what he said, he made a very important point, that we have to actually create those competencies, those roles and defined responsibility, so that they are overarching, so that then you can have really, inter-company portability. There
Actually,
is
Rajiv,
free-
what he's saying is
Yes.
so true. When we said all the jobs that are posted in manufacturing and we kind of filtered it, we just see roles for engineers. It's not defined as supervisory role, project
Yes,
manager
exactly.
role, off-site manager role.
Exactly, and that is there, and which is there, it specifically, it need not be very specific to that company. And then only we can have inter-company,
The
mobility.
JD just says
And
engineer.
no roaming charges.
Then engineer is a qualification that you're talking about. You have nothing in your JD that
It's only
specifies the
specific
skills,
yes.
the competencies that you're looking for. Therefore, even when a candidate looks at your job, how does the candidate know that these are the skills? If I have this competency, I'm doing something else, but I have this competency and therefore I may be. You have to articulate that JD so carefully, where it is a much broader
It is
JD than an
enriching.
engineer.
It is not only enlarged and enriching both together.
And it's a career. It's a career path for
What
the.
you have been possibly highlighting is unshackling of the talent.
Yes,
Yes.
actually. And that's why, and that's why I insist that, if you have free mobility, then only you will have no roaming charges. Otherwise, there is roaming charges. At every stage, you can
And it helps everyone.
Yes.
Across the
And it restricts portability,
Absolutely. So we had a very, exciting experience as far as the concept what we as a group are talking about. So initially, whenever we go to campus, we just go there based on a requisition, we hire, come back, and we say, okay, our brand is there. We think that okay, this is our brand presence in the campus. But over a period of time, especially, and this whole thought emerged from a manufacturing, or from a plant setup. That guys, what are we doing? Every year we go. We hire some people. At the end of a year or 2 years, we think that most of the people are going out for studies. So then the thought emerged that I think our engagement level with campuses has to go to a completely different level altogether. Moving away from a hunter-gatherer as what yeah, and then we were just only looking for the crops, So we moved in there, and now what we're trying to do is we did it at 2 levels. So first one is that we have named this program called as an Ideate. At the first level, and it runs on every 6 months, so it happens twice in a year, wherein we go with the specific business problems to the campuses and tell them that, okay, this is our real problem, right? So since we are an FMCD and the Koreans are the biggest competitors, and if we want to, so we contextualize it, right? We give a specific case study, and believe you me, we have really got some fantastic insights from what we can do or what we should do, right? And how it is translated into that, portability within the company setup. There is a function what we call as a PDC, which is a Product Development Center. There are a lot of global projects in terms of design, which comes to the center. We have partnered with IIT Delhi in terms of a course curriculum at the one level, and the another level is from a design perspective and the new product launches. So these group of students work on these projects, they give a presentation, and it's in the third year of the engineering. And if that project is selected, the next year we go back to the same students and say that, look, your project has been approved. Now, these are the specific roles which you have worked on. And since in the project say everything is so fluid, the team works onto it, which is the role which you want to pick it up. The project is very familiar. These guys are very well aware, okay, this is the role, if I pick it up, I will work exactly in the same context for this project. And we very clearly tell them that, look, this project will be for minimum 2 years or 3 years. So you will be there, and so they pick and choose, okay, this is the project I want to get into. So it has worked really well for us as far as when we're talking about this concept. And all kudos to IIT.
So from the academic institution to the organization, they continue working on
absolutely,
the same
absolutely.
Oh,
That's
very
a very good
interesting.
idea.
Very good.
And in fact, because of
Makes a lot of
this,
sense.
we have moved away from going to campuses. So this year we didn't visit any of the campuses. Most of our MD requirements were fulfilled by PPOs, which were through these projects. So in technical sense, we have bridged the gap of what these guys, if you would have gone to them in the final year.
Known devils rather than
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we have reduced that gap, and this year we are not visiting any of the campuses, and we're not
very good strategy.
we are not discussing even the compensation. So these guys have a top of the mind awareness of the project, and the real proud feeling that, look, I worked on it, I fought for this, I got it approved.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure that I complete this.
There's more ownership, absolutely.
These are the kind of things we're talking about.
Yes,
Rather than
something
saying
creative
that
like this.
Academics
Yes.
should do something, they should evolve. I think we here, as Sanjeev was also mentioning,
should.
we are taking that step forward and bringing them in.
Yes.
I think, and rather than blame everybody outside, I think we would say that we have taken that step, we are taking them, so they are reaping results. I think it gives
No,
them
very well.
good
These
results.
are the creative things that you
How
said.
do you make sure that this 2 and 2 and 50 make a million, How do you take it up to scale it up to the levels? Because even with NSDC coming, the whole purpose was that you should have 20,000, 30,000 being trained in a year. You're talking about 3,500, 5,000, which is grossly inadequate, whichever sector you look at.
NSDC is still evolving, so I think.
No, what I meant was, if you have to scale the numbers, how do you do that?
That I will tell you, actually we have been very deeply debating on this issue also. Like you see in the graduate engineer, let us take the case study of graduate engineering students. Today in the last 1 decade or maybe 1.5 decade, the total capacity is around 1.6 million. And what is coming out of is about 1 million students are taking admission. About 0.1 or 0.15 million are dropping out. And at the end of the pipeline, you are getting about 850,000 students coming out in BTech degrees. And around 3 to 3.5 lakhs of them, 3.500,000 are getting absorbed in industry. About 2 to 2.5 at the campus, another 1.5 or 2 after passing out of the campuses. And others are making some makeshift arrangements, some training, some listening, accepting some job which is lesser than their capability, and then moving, settling down into some other kind of business. Capacity is no more a constraint. There are not enough number of students to fill those 1.6 million seats. So many colleges are now shutting down in the self-financing sector. What used to be a lucrative business, just 5 years back, people are withdrawing from it. Why this happened? Because there were enough number of students who had the charm of becoming engineers, and they had the financial resources, there were loans available, and they had the assurance that they'll get into a good career, so they begged, borrowed, did something, sold their land or did whatever to become an engineer. Now that trend is dropping out because enough employment is not coming to them. But in this sector where you see this blue collar employees, the cost of training may be around say 30,000 or 35,000 rupees over maybe 6 months or 8 months at a very realistic scale. Now if a self-financing person has to come in, he has to meet this cost. the blue collar employee from the kind of social background he's coming is not in a position to afford this cost. So national skill development will give you something where from this cost will come. If that happens, this is 1.6 million, it can be 5.6 million as well. It's not going to be. There the industry has to come forward. Now, if you think that the government ITIs are going to deliver, I have my doubts. Take any private sector listing, whether it was airlines or whatever. Air India could not keep its share of the market. Now there is SpiceJet, there is Jet Air, there is Go Air or whatever, Indigo. They have filled up that space. That's going to happen in this sector also, maybe in a decade's time, 1.5 decades time or whatever. But in this segment of blue collar employees, the person cannot afford this kind of a charge or a fee. Therefore, private sector is not entering into this, and whatever is entering is just gobbling up whatever subsidy the government is giving. They are not any better than the government and ITIs. At government and ITIs, no classes take place. Excellent machines are there. Nobody has cared to operate them even for once. They are just showpieces actually. So where does this skill develop? Who trains? So if this is something, even if you train a person for 6 months on one specific skill operating a CNC machine. So you need to have first a CNC machine. You need to have an instructor who can tell them how to operate this, what to take care of. And eventually person can be trained in 6 months' time. You put them on the job with any senior worker, they learn in 2 months, 3 months' time. That skill is not so difficult. And then he can start working, he can get a foothold, and with his experience he can extrapolate to other machines and becomes an asset for me. So where does this cost of 20,000 or 25,000 or 35,000, depending upon how much is the skill this thing that you need, development, where from it's going to come? Like I'll give you one example. From Agra, there is the more than 10,000 crores worth of leather exports. They are suffering from the same problem. Previously, lower strata of the society used to come and join, and they would bring in their sons and this thing, isko kaam mein laga lo, ye khali baitha hai, pad nahi paya.